What's up, YouTube? It's Anthony Castillo with you guys. I'm here with another talk. So, this one is relevant, and I definitely want to make sure I emphasize on this relevance because here we are, okay? So, spiritual relevance. What does that mean? Well, spiritual relevance. So, every day, okay, as a researcher, as someone that is very ingrained and also very in tune with, research, especially when it comes to philosophical research, there's a lot of important concepts out there that many people in either the psychiatric community or even in the spiritual community, cognitive science, all kind of different realms of studies, right? So it's more of a framework, an interdisciplinary framework that many organizations know various things that are happening simultaneously at once. So I wanted to title this one Spiritual Relevance because we need to be careful of what is relevant in our lives as well as what is irrelevant. So that is a key point right there. So irrelevancy normally actually happens in moments that we don't have no desire to stay, to keep in our lives, for instance, okay? I don't know if you've ever had like a certain wardrobe. Myself, I used to look really gothic. I don't know what that really means. I'm not really here to say anything about the gothic community, but basically I used to look emo, like really, really, really emo. Always wore the black, always wore dark clothing. But aside from that, so it's irrelevant to me, right? It's very irrelevant that I no longer associate myself in that kind of like area of life because one, I've learned to grow as a person, right? Think about the exercise community, right? Or exercise science community that thrive on, tanks, tanks and cutoff shirts, and especially during the summer. But aside from that, we all kind of understand what that is. But spiritual relevance, the reason why there's an important key term to the word spirituality is because we want to make sure that we're relevant, right? We're relevant in what our manifestations are, whether we're within the bile threshold of manifesting what we want, right? Or take, for instance, loyal ring. In my other previous talk, loyal ring has to do a lot with being loyal to yourself and being loyal to your beliefs, right? Now, I know some of the things that I say within my videos may not be entirely as in unison, but forgive me, right? Especially in the spiritual forgiveness, like forgive me for recognizing that even if patterns are not always going to be specifically, this is like specifically for this channel, we can still find relevance, right? Even if you've seen, let's say you saw one of my videos, and then let's say tomorrow you watch it again, and something about the brain actually helps you recognize that you interpreted the video a whole different viewpoint, right? And that is what gets so interesting with like research, because I know even researchers recognize that data, as they collect data, metrics, that the data is different, is interpreted differently at times, right? Maybe let's say an analyst recognizes that once they interpreted the data one time, they come back to it and say, oh, I missed that point. I didn't recognize that point. And now a new relevance comes into, the forefront of our mind. So anyways, guys, I wanted to leave you with that one, spiritual relevance, because as we progress, as we move forward, and as we just grow with more concepts, more ideas, It's important that we're working through everything that's inside of us, emotionally, psychologically, cognitively, spiritually, like specifically spiritually, that we're working through everything that is happening to us. Because once we find new relevance, right? Because I moved, for instance, I'm no longer in my area. I decided to move out to a different area, and now I'm finding new ways to, integrate my environment, right? So, critical environmental awareness. Things are calm. Now, whatever you hear in the background, those are just bugs. But is it relevant or irrelevant? I'm gonna let you do your own magic on that one, because even though we're all gonna come with new ways of thinking, it's important that we start thinking, differently, especially if you're moving. A person moved and it's no longer in a certain area. That's a lot of like neural adaptation that's happening. A lot of new adaptation, and so now you're having to find new relevance, right? Anyways, remember to subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.